What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever.
Period. Yeah. Mwah.
Period.
Yeah.
I'm not gagged.
I think that the episode has some gag-worthy moments, but are we overall gagged?
I'm not gagged, but I am your host,
No.
Febro. We are joined by our wonderful co-host, Lee. Lee, you said you was a little bit gagged. What's here?
I was a little bit gagged. I mean, the fact that we got Lauren, the girls were adding us on Twitter saying that she is the first Black woman to win immunity in the new era. And they're like, shout out to that period. I was thinking back, like, Shay didn't do it? Drea didn't do it?
Drea ain't do it?
I thought Drea did it. The thing is, if someone told me Marianne did, I would believe this. But we're here. None of those people did it. And we're here.
But Mother Lauren did. And that was the one good thing about this episode, in my opinion. But we move. No, there was some tea. Not a lot. Well, to me. Probably to you too. But boom, back at camp. Yam Yam thought he was finna go home again.
It was bad.
It's been bad for Yam.
But he's the comeback kid. Like, Yam Yam is not going home. Point blank in the motherfucking period.
Ever,
I
actually.
love his survivor journey. Like, I just cannot. It just makes me excited for the future returning seasons with these players. Like,
oh yes,
because I feel like there's so many legacies being set up, and like I would love to see them play out.
That would be really nice. So he came back. He was gagged. He was like, "Look, y'all, I made it again. I'm still here." And it's like, period. Franny had a scene. She is sad that Matt is gone. She's crying. People consoling her a little bit. Girl, bloop. Then we get a Brandon dive room. Brandon says Matt had to go because we had to break up Soka. Soka had to get the fuck out of here. Period. So that's how that went. Then Heidi, she talks to Yam Yam. And basically she's trying to explain why she made the decision she made last week. I think she was telling the truth. Well, she was, because she said it in the diary room. The issue is, in the diary room, she was like, I wanted Yam Yam. Well, she said, I knew Yam Yam wasn't going to go. I knew everyone was voting out Matt. So I threw my vote to make it seem like I'm irrelevant. And that was my theory last time. I was like, maybe she just did it because she wanted to hide it or whatever.
I don't know. Call me petty, but I'm not working with someone who wrote my name down. Like you went out of your way to steal a vote to get my name.
Did she have to use? Did she even have to? She probably did have to use it, knowing Jeff.
I don't know. I just feel like
you should just wrote down Matt. She could have stole Yam Yam's vote and wrote it back. I don't know, but hey, we move.
Because regardless, I wouldn't have been fucking with that.
Period. And neither was Yam Yam. But she had a diary room, and Heidi was basically like, "It's 3 Tika, 3 Soka, but 4 Ratu. So one of them hoes
gotta go to."
Period. I know that's the fuck right. So she was like, I need to link up with Tika. And she told Yam Yam, she's like, girl, it's giving bad bitch to link up. And Yam Yam was like, okay.
Period. Tika in the big 3 spot.
Tika's in a good ass spot. And that's what Yam Yam talks about.
Tika be a final 3 at this point. Like,
as
that
can
would be
I.
a nasty final 3.
As can I. Carolyn
the Tika 3. The Tika 3.
Period. So Yam Yam has a diary room. And he's like, you know what? We're in the middle. So we will be playing the middle. Let me go to Carson and talk about this. Pause. Yam Yam is still excluding Carolyn. Because not only this, but we see the votes. And I kind of just think they didn't tell Carolyn. And it's like...
Oh, because at the end we see that Yam Yam and
Carson voted together.
Brandon, and then Carolyn evicts Franny. I feel like because they're I feel like just because they're not necessarily sharing the strategic information on the TV edit doesn't mean she's not in on the vote. Because I feel like they know she's a part of that 3-person structure. And I think we'll get into why they did that vote. I feel like it only makes sense if they include Carolyn in that. Because they know how Carolyn is. Like, you better include her.
Right. I hope so.
Maybe he just... I can definitely see how he probably feels like his go-to isn't her because maybe he feels like he can't strategize. Because Yam Yam does not... I don't think fully see Carolyn as a valuable player in the game. Like she's of course someone that he can work with, but when it comes to strategy and talking about how they're going to move forward, I do think that he deters to Carson first.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see how that works for him. It's given Carolyn's going to win the game. Kane has the diary room. And Kane is like, I don't know why Kane keep having diarrhea. I hope Kane don't win. But he has diarrhea, and he's like, it's Ratu's game to. Well, actually, this was a setup. He's not winning because they set him the fuck up. He had a diarrhea. He said, "Girl, Ratu is not losing. Like, it's just not given. We can lose.
We're so solidified. We're so tight.
We're all together."
Which is interesting because one of the predictions I was saying before merge was that Ratu is not solidified at all. Like, how are they going to be in merge? And look at them. Not working, but hey.
But they were together. They voted together. But basically, Kane was like, "Yeah, if one of us does win, I mean, that would just be crazy, girl." Yeah. Boom. The next morning, we see Carson is throwing the fuck up.
Girl, I thought Medevac
was going to get another check.
Girl, well, that's the thing. I honestly,
that big bag.
That it was mentioned throughout the episode. I can see it coming back. Like, I don't know. It just felt like
they kept talking about it. I thought like maybe they only brought it up because of the moment with we got to team up.
Maybe.
I don't know. Because they brought it up. It was just so relevant. I was like, why is
But remember, they did the same thing with Matt. Remember when Matt initially injured himself, it was a big moment. He got better. It was like, okay, we're good. And then randomly, my arm hurt. I gotta go home. What?
Mm-hmm. And they gave Matt a super big edit, kind of how they gave Carson a really, really big edit. Carson has a huge edit. Carson is not winning. So that might be why. That could be why. Child. Go ahead and bring these people back. Boom, immunity challenge. So they get a note from Tree Mail, and in the note it says, for the challenge, we gonna be paired up. So they have to choose their pairs. Why are they pairing people up? I don't fucking know.
This is the third round in merge. They we doing something, y'all.
I don't know if they ran out of materials.
Hopefully top 9 is regular.
I think they ran out of materials, but my thing was, no way they did. Because my thing was the ending challenge for the immunity. I was like, that could just be the immunity. Like, what are y'all doing? It was a lot. Mm-hmm. I guess they were filling time. I don't know why they were filling time. We don't know.
It definitely gives filling time because when I looked at the clock, we were done with this challenge. It was like 7:35, and it was still going. So
and it was going on commercial, and we came back at 7:40.
Yeah, so like they for sure make this as long as possible to fill all the filler out because there was nothing else. There wasn't much in this episode. Like majority of it was the immunity, the long ass immunity. Mm-hmm. Didn't we go through like 2 commercials while it was on?
Girl, yes.
So I was like, damn, who gonna win?
This long ass immunity.
And then you have them divide into pairs just for the pairs to really not fucking matter at all.
Why was it?
Why didn't you just have 10 separate stations, have them run through a net and stand? I don't know. Or just do the first section. Okay, half you are eliminated after you run through the net. The first 5 will be able to stand on the thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's nitpicking at this point, but
no, I don't understand why they did it. But anyways, there's random pairs. Kane and Brandon paired up, Franny and Yamian paired up, Carson and Carolyn paired up, Danny and Lauren paired up, and Heidi and Jamie paired up. Does not matter. We go to stage 1, they got to twist through a net. Everybody twists through the net, but Carolyn, she is yelling.
Carolyn, she's like a trapped animal.
Like, what? Girl, if you don't twist. But we did get a diary.
Because he's so sweet.
His throat hurt.
He's like, Carolyn, babe.
I think they're twisting to the left.
Carolyn, just twist. Carolyn, just roll.
I think the other people, they would grab on the neck.
Carolyn, you have to. What?
Girl.
And then she was screaming.
Girl. But Carolyn did have a diary room earlier. She said, I'm going to allow people to keep thinking I'm a dumbass bitch, basically. Like, I'm going to let them think I'm dumb. I'm gonna move along. So
and she's gonna wake it up at the final tribal.
Yeah, maybe
she's gonna say, "Oh, I had an idol. I did this. I did that. I did." Yeah, she's coming.
Maybe it was strat.
It's definitely strat.
It's definitely giving win-win. Winner.
Chicken
dinner. The fuck. Boom. So the other teams make it out. Who goes on to the next thing? Carson and Carolyn are out of this round. Everybody else goes to stage 2. Boom. You got to use the planks and you got to run across the rope with the planks. First 2 teams to make it to stage 3. Kane and Brandon won. Danny and Lauren got second. Lauren got second. Boom. This part was individual. Yes. And it was Danny, which I feel like could have just been the challenge. It is individual immunity. What the fuck? But anyways, this part was individual and not any other part. It was Danny versus Lauren versus Kane versus Brandon. They're all standing on, the fucking shit where they got to stand and their toes barely hanging out and they got to have their arms on the walls and they got to stand there and they got to lower down. Boom, 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 boom. Fuck all that. Lauren won, bitch.
Period. Period. She really ate that. She really ate that. And it's like,
it was her against the three like toughest boys in the game.
Exactly. It's annoying because she hasn't been that much into the edit, so it's like I really feel like I couldn't. It wasn't a great build up, you know. Yeah. Every time I feel like we've gotten Lauren, it's been some of the more interesting gameplay, interesting perspective of the season. Yeah.
But why are they not showing us that? Because instead they're worried about dividing them up into teams 2 fucking episodes in a row, and we got to spend time on the teams getting divided and the long ass immunity comps that nobody gives a fuck about. We want to know, what is Lauren doing strategically? What are these people thinking? What are their diary rooms? Tell me the tea about them. And honestly, no shade, I don't give a fuck that Carson is building shit at home. Quit showing me home clips. Show me what's happening in the game. They showed us 3, 4, 5 clips of Carson building fucking puzzles at home when we're literally in the game with him. At least just show us what he's doing. I don't know. I just feel like they're not showing me enough. I'm not getting enough content at all. This entire episode, the first half was people coming back from tribal and then them going into teams and then them playing the immunity. That's it. And the teams is the immunity. It was them coming back from tribal, their opinions on tribal. That was old. And then the immunity. And then we get to the vote. That was it. Like, where's the tea? Like, usually they give us droplets. They give us some home life. They tell us some tea about the strategy. Where are people allies? We didn't get none of that shit. Boom. Back at camp, we get straight to the vote. They're all washing off from the dirt that came from the comp. And Brandon and Kane, they in the water in the corner, and they basically talking about some girl. Let's give him Franny.
And I was gagged. I was like, oh. Like that, right after her, man. I didn't think anyone would be worried about Franny.
I didn't think so either, but apparently, and this could be
that immunity, they were probably like, she got the motherfucking go.
It made me scared because I thought Franny was the type, like, I thought they saw Franny like, oh, you know, she'll just make. I didn't think they saw her as the biggest threat. Mm-hmm. You know, it was Danny, Heidi, or Franny. I was like, why not Danny? But they immediately thought Franny, and it's like, oh, they know she's the it girl, and we hear them. Brandon has diary. He's like, Franny is that girl, and edit-wise, I think that's really good. But gameplay-wise, I was like, ooh, that's scary. Because not them thinking she's the it girl. But it might have just been Brandon. Because the other girls were like, oh, okay. Sure, Franny. And he's out.
I will say, I mean, the fact that she got, I almost said veto. The fact that she got immunity used on her this week. If the thought was that she's someone to fear, I would still think that because girl all the way got immunity used on her. So
yes, literally,
I would still be targeting her after this if I was going into this.
Yeah, we'll see though. They might target Danny since he played it. Plus, Danny's just annoying.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good buffer for her. So Franny got it. Hopefully, y'all, because the draft. Anyways,
you just want to see that thing. You only care because it's the draft.
Well, I also think she's a good player.
By the way, babes.
Not with Carolyn.
You do have Carolyn.
Boom. So Brandon and Kane are like, we just gotta lock it in with Tika. We good. So they go around. They tell all of Ratu. They tell all of Tika. They like, look, y'all, we voting for Annie. Everybody like, girl, duh, we're voting for Annie. We're chilling. Period. Boom. Then Heidi and Danny come over, and Brandon is talking to them, and he's like, well, I mean, we're voting for Annie. And Heidi and Danny was like, oh. All righty. And Heidi basically was like, we could do that, or I can take matters into my own.
And it's like, okay, Heidi, come on.
Yeah. I like Heidi. Now that they're showing her, she's like, she moves in the game. She doesn't just sit there. And I like that.
Like, it's her game, and she's doing what she wants with it.
Period.
Because I did think that she would have been maybe more of a secondary to Danny. I thought maybe Danny may just run her. It's not giving it at all. Heidi
it's not.
Is in control of her own shit.
It's running Danny. Period. I wouldn't say all that.
I wouldn't say all that.
But Heidi basically
to the ground, maybe.
She told Danny, she's like, it's giving we just gonna get Tika and we're gonna figure out who to vote. And they decide, well, actually, Heidi decides we're voting Brandon. She says, Danny, I know you cool with him, but it's giving Brandon. And Danny said, okay, so
And this is what I was saying to Pharaoh off the podcast. Like, I feel like what's annoying about Survivor, or I just wish that we have more of, is the connection and the breakdowns of them. Because the last thing we knew about Brandon and Danny was that they were at the pre-merge little thing with Carolyn, and they were talking about going to merge together and uniting and getting all of their allegiances together. Like, I would love to have seen why they no longer trust each other, except I just feel like it's so random.
Other than Heidi randomly bringing it up
behind Danny being like, well, I don't need to work with him anymore. I guess I don't know. It's just it's annoying because it's like, okay, well, why even put that one segment in the edit, maybe because it was Carolyn being ignored, because Carolyn had a big moment from that too.
Because Carolyn's gonna win. That's why.
And that's probably the gag.
But no, I think maybe it was still relevant because Brandon. That could explain why Brandon said Franny, not Danny. Yeah. Because the obvious thing would be Danny, but I think that could explain why Brandon was like, let's vote Franny. And also why Heidi was like, I know you cool with him, but it's giving Brandon. Mm-hmm. So maybe they did still have something, but we didn't know that. Like you said, we didn't see it.
Brandon tweeted, he was like, y'all thought it was a bromance? So we did, child. They ain't giving it no more, child.
So boom. I'm gonna say something. Heidi goes and she tells Yam Yam and Carolyn the plan. She's like, look, y'all, boom. We got to vote Brandon. And this is when Yam Yam's like, I got to talk to Carson about this. Mm-hmm. And that's what made me feel weird because it's like she told him and Carolyn. And it's like, you could have just talked to Carolyn about it, but I don't know.
Well, maybe he already talked to Carolyn. He wanted to fill Carson in.
He didn't say that. He said, I need to figure out the plan. I need to talk to Carson so we can figure out what we're going to do. That was literally what he said. And then he went to talk to Carson to figure out what they were going to do.
And so, I mean,
and then Heidi walked
keep
up.
Playing in her face and he going to lose right sitting right next to her. That's just going to be the gag, Yam
Yam. That's going to be the tea. So, boom. Yam Yam, I don't see how Yam Yam could lose, which I think other people will see, and they're going to vote that ass out at 4. It's giving Jesse from last season. You're going home. Good luck. Yam Yam was talking to Carson, and Heidi popped up. And it's funny because like they were trying to decide, and she was like, "So y'all are voting with us?
So together,
boom."
And she said, "Well, look, Danny got an item anyways. He's playing it on Frankie, so I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do for
because
real. Might as well vote with us anyway."
And rewind, when Heidi told Danny the plan, Danny told Heidi he had the idol. By the way, and Heidi told these niggas, and I was like, "Girl, why the fuck did you?"
As soon as she approached them, I was like, "She gonna tell them that this man got the idol." And that's exactly what the fuck she did.
She told him he has an idol, so Franny's good anyways. And Yam Yam was like, ooh, Danny could go home this morning. I could literally just vote out Danny and we can move along. And it's like, that would be... I don't think he should have done that, so I'm glad he didn't. But he uses this information to his advantage with this vote, very much so. And I think it's going to put him and Tika in a really good spot because they did not vote out Ratu, or at least not all of them. So it's like they still have Carson and Yam Yam in a good position with Ratu because Ratu thinks, oh, they voted with us. You know what I'm saying? So boom. After this, Danny
which I hope that was a purposeful play on their part. Like I know you mentioned earlier, like was Carolyn left out of that vote, but you know, if I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. I feel like Yam Yam, especially Carson, have proven themselves to be, you know, people who are going to float back and forth between the alliances, and I think that was a perfect move to do so.
Yeah. And in his diary room, he was basically like, I want to do something to keep my bases covered in all angles. And that's what this vote was. Danny tells Franny that he got the idol, he gonna play it on her. And Franny, and really this scene was mostly to give Franny her diary room because she's the winner. And Franny was like, look, Danny's saying he's gonna do this and this and that, and that's all good and Danny, but if this plan don't go the way it's supposed to go, then we could get fucked up real nasty. It's like, boom.
And I definitely thought it was going to get fucked up. Like, I feel like this was a very clean-cut vote. I was like, there's no way he's just going to use this idol. People now know he got this idol and using it on Franny, and something's not going to get fucked up. No? But that wasn't the overall play. I think Tika was thinking that the bigger picture.
Yeah. So, boom. This is when Carson lets Danny know that Yam Yam knows about his idol because Heidi told him.
And one thing Carson gonna do
is snitch to a man.
It's gonna be a loose end. And
I know that's right.
He gonna snitch on himself. Look, baby, they know.
They know.
He didn't do that, but
I'm sorry. He basically did.
And then he was like, "I'm so sorry."
And then he said, "I'm sorry.
It's okay. You know, we can just."
we got it. So Danny is like, "Ooh, my fear now is that Yam Yam is finna use this to get me out. He's going to know I'm using the idol on Franny, and then he's going to vote out me instead." And I think that was a good fear because that's immediately what Yam Yam thought when he fucking brought it up. But boom, we get to the tribal. Nothing happens. Yeah. But we see that before the vote, Danny does play his idol on Franny. Franny ends up getting 5 votes. That other boy gets 6, Brandon. So what happened was all of Ratu voted together. And all of Ratu voted together, and
Yam Yam and Carson
voted with them. Carolyn voted with all of Soka, and they voted against
Brandon.
And Brandon went home because Franny had the idol. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I think it was intentional. I think Yam Yam and Carson and Carolyn, I think they all knew what they were going to do. They were like, you're going to vote with them. We're going to vote with them. Boom, 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 boom. We're good. Because they wanted to kind of like put everybody in a position to where they can still be trusted. Because Carolyn still voted with y'all. We're good. And we still voted with them. You're good. So I don't know how it'll work. If I was Soka, I would be like, not them trying to cover their bases by voting Franny. That's how I would have felt. Why y'all didn't just vote with us? Because we didn't have to. Now Danny got his idol used. Danny didn't have to use his idol. If Tika would have came to them and been like, "Oh, we got y'all back. Don't even use the idol. We can save it for later." Then it's like, okay, we cool. But them like going behind his back a little bit and voting out Franny, and he had to use his idol. If I was Danny and Heidi and Franny, I'd be like, "Girl, fuck them." But where you gonna go? You don't.
They don't mess with any of the remaining Ratu at all. Lauren, Kane, and Jamie Lynn. Maybe they have something with Jamie Lynn, but it doesn't really seem like it. Like, it's more so out of necessity, and I think that's kind of what Tika wanted. They wanted to check them a little bit.
Yeah. So boom, let's get to these motherfucking ratings. Brandon went home this episode. How do you feel about Brandon as an overall player?
I feel like overall we just did not have much from him. I think this season it doesn't feel like we're getting much of gameplay from any of these people. I will say what was better from last season is I don't think that was more competitive and active gameplay, but I think we did see, a little bit more perspectives. This season, I don't really feel like we get any of that. I don't know what position Brandon was ever in. I don't know what allies he ever really had. Maybe it's because it is as simple as tribe alliances, but you never really know. So I will say it's just a 5. Like, can't really say much else.
Period. I think I liked his game. I felt like he was strategically sound because there was a lot of moments where people would come to Brandon or Brandon would be the voice of the plan, and that's helpful in a way. He found an idol. That's good. What's T? You good?
It's different show.
Okay, sure. So I think I'm gonna give him a 5 too, though, just because of the lack of information. I feel like he is always gonna be a threat. So there's that. Boom. Carolyn. Now, Carolyn, that's mother. This episode, we saw that with Carolyn, she's in the middle. She's in the middle with Tika, and they're in between Soka and Ratu. So I think she's going to go deep because of that. Honestly, I think all of Tika are making it really far in the game. So that's good for her. And I also feel like she's very underestimated. And that's also good for her. I'm a little bit worried on how she's going to prove that she's a good player. Because although back on the tribe, we know she was, on the merge tribe, no one knows that. I know she's going to pick it up at the end and probably start eating it the fuck up. So that's probably going to be when she can get momentum. But until that happens, it's going to be hard for me to kind of like, I feel like give her too high of a score. Right now, I still feel like her and Tika are in a great position. And I think Yam Yam will go of the Tika group if they ever are targeted. I think Carolyn is locked in for damn near Final Four already because she's just not going home. There's no reason and there's no rhyme. And she's doing that actively. She's actively pretending to be a little bit more ditzy than she actually is. So that's good too. I'm gonna give her a good old 7 and move on. Because she has an idol. She has the only idol in the game.
Exactly.
So, boom.
I definitely agree with that 7. I think one thing I continuously love about Carolyn is that she's a self-aware player. She knows her position in the game. And the fact that she is very aware of her playing up her ditziness, playing up her kookiness to make people, feel some way about her, not get her out is, I think, really impressive because she is able to do these very strategic moves with her allies. I'm just hoping that her perception changes over these next few episodes. Now, it may not be a huge issue because I feel like we saw with Marianne that I think those last few rounds, she really turned it around for herself. I don't think many people respected her in those last few rounds. And I think Carolyn can have the same storyline. But at this point, she is in one of the more powerful alliances in the game. And I think they're going to stay in that position. So, yeah. 7.
And Carolyn is inspired by Marianne. So she might just be modeling her game. That's the winning game for that archetype. So, boom, do it. And, edit-wise, fuck it. But edit-wise, Carolyn has one of the best, I feel, winning ability. Because I feel like Carson and Yam Yam are so over-edited that I don't think they're gonna win, and I think she'd be at the end near them. And it's like no one else has that edit like that. Boom. Next is Carson. How do you feel about Carson? The girl said we need to be giving her an 8 because she eating it up like that.
Child, see, I have my 8 reserved for.
You have 8 reserved. I don't have an 8 reserved, I will say, but
it's reserved for Carson.
What?
I think Carson is really eating this game up. I think a lot of people trust him. I think that he is able to play at a level that people are giving him respect, but he's also staying really low key. I don't know how much some of the messiness is going to come back to affect him. Like for example, this episode he told Danny the information about the idol. It's not necessarily he spilled the tea, but like it's the fact that like you are kind of opening that information. That's what it seems like, at least. And I don't really know about that, but I do think that he is really successfully playing the middle. It's his connections that he made from being kidnapped with Ratu that kind of is what put Carolyn and Yam Yam in this position in the first place. So I do think that they are playing really, really impressively. And I do think in a way they're kind of following his blueprint, like the three of them. Like he set this structure up and now it is taking place. I think I keep comparing him to Sammy from last year because I think they have so many similarities, but I think this is what he was attempting to try to happen, but he never had a group to do that with. And I think that he has his group, Carson has his group, and they're making the correct moves. Like even this vote here, to have Carolyn go on one side and then the two to go on the other, and still have the idol play and things like that. So I think looking at the bigger picture of the game, like I think they're playing flawlessly. So I won't say flawlessly, but I think they're playing
really, really good. And I agree. I'm gonna give him a 7.5. I agree with the fact that you're right. Like he put them in this position. It was his connections all the way around because he had great connections with Ratu because he was he on Ratu? Yeah, because he went to the Ratu beach. But he also had a good input on what Soka was doing because him and Matt quickly had a good relationship. Him and Franny was cool. So he put them in a position, like you said. And now they're in this good position based on his good gameplay. And I think he's going to continue to be someone who people just trust, like you said. So, period. Next, we have Danny. Now, I think with Danny, he's an active player in the game. But in modern day Survivor, everybody is, so that's not that good. But I just feel like he makes the way he makes decisions is not. It's too out in the open. I feel like he's not stealthy enough. I think he's just so obvious and blatant with the way he plays, and that starts with his conversation at the meal with Carolyn, telling everybody his fucking game plan that he wants to link up with Brandon. Like he's just too obvious about what he does. And I feel like that's the issue. He's telling Heidi he has an idol. He's going to use it on Franny. And that's do. And it's like, sure, that's your allies. However, you didn't necessarily have to say anything. And I feel like he's just not stealthy enough. And to win Survivor, you have to have some sort of stealth and you have to be able to diminish your threat level. I feel like Brandon might have been the best person on Ratu for him because of this little boys thing they had going on. Like I said, Brandon suggested Franny. So when Heidi said we need to vote Brandon, low key, he probably should have been like, no, let's vote Kane. Because Brandon was one of the people in Ratu who was helping him. But for some reason, Danny likes to target a certain group of people. But hey, we move. So for that, I'm going to give Danny a 5. I feel like he could easily go home very soon. He used his idol, don't got it no more. He's not in the best position because he can spin and flip back and forth. And he's one of the biggest threats. Or he's not even a threat, but he's one of the more outward loud players. Carolyn says in the preview that she's fucking annoyed with him. Why are you being annoying? What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, no, I was really disappointed with what I saw with Danny this episode. And I think, I expected this to come from that reward where him and Brandon were doing what they did in front of Carolyn. It's very clear. And I remember him mentioning preseason that, one of the things that people will probably think about him is that he's a douche, like that he's one of those people that is basically full of himself and things like that. And I every time I see him, I low-key kind of get that. I'm not gonna lie, like he's very like out there in your face, and I think that that can get kind of annoying. Which we say in the preview, it's kind of starting to get annoying. And then I think strategically too, I feel like this episode it just shows, like for lack of better words, like. The simplistic mindset he has. Yeah. I don't think that he recognized that he may be in danger from the information being spilled, and we didn't see any type of maneuvering around that or attempting to, basically put himself back or somewhat in a better position, because now this move has been made and Tika, they have all of the agency in the game right now. And I think he really has none. And he's kind of at their beck and call with no idol and no, I don't think, legitimate allies. I don't know him sticking with Franny and Heidi will take him too far. And I don't really know who else that he will be able to connect with because the only person we saw him have a connection with was Brandon, and now Brandon's out.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it's a 4. I do think that he is not going to be in this game long. I mean, unless Jeff throwing some other type of twist, and he could. But I don't see him.
And he could win a few well, maybe not a few, but he could win an immunity, I think. So that's a helpful thing for him too. How are you feeling about Franny though?
I really, really like Franny. I always thought that, of course, out of the duo with her and Matt, that she was the one that was, actually more in the game. And I think that's definitely true because the way they're seeing her as a threat, I don't know if it's mainly because of that immunity last week where she ate it the fuck up. But, clearly she has some respect in the game. But I don't... Now that she doesn't have Matt and now that Soka's in the position that it's in, I don't really know where she goes from here. This episode, she got saved by the idol, which I think is really, really good for her socially. If clearly these people like her enough, Danny trusts her enough to feel like, I'm going to risk my idol to keep her in this game because I need her. And I think that's really, really good. It's just, I don't know if it's the edit or what, but we don't really know kind of the interconnected relationships. And then you have, like Farrell mentioned, Tika's going to be flipping back and forth. And her name has been on the chopping block. It makes me feel like her name is going to be back there as well. Mm-hmm. So I'll say it's a 5. I think that, she is strategically good enough to potentially get out of this. But I just, the structure of the game right now is 3v3v3, and Tika is definitely playing that middle. So I think it would have to be a complete structural change at this point. I think for anybody in Ratu or Soka to win, and maybe they would need to come together. Maybe that would honestly need to be the move to go after Tika. But do any of them realize that? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I will give her a 5.5 because I feel like if anyone can do that, it would be her. We saw that she did have a relationship with Kane and Matt. When Matt was here and Kane was here that first merge round, Kane was all up on them. So it's possible that, especially now that Brandon's gone, that could be an avenue for Franny and some of the Ratu to come together. And Jamie Lynn was on their tribe. So it's possible that they could figure something out. But she's not in a good position right now. Period. So it got to be a 5.5. I feel like with the Yam Yam thing, that was weird. And I also feel like with Heidi, she's active, but she's not necessarily, I feel, the most meticulous about her plans. I feel like she thinks of a plan, it comes to her mind, and she does it. Or like when she tries to think of another plan, it doesn't. None of them seem fully thought out to me because she was basically like, I mean, I'm gonna try to get Tika, boom. But it's like, first of all, you just voted Yam Yam. You don't know that you have Tika. And then when Danny told you about his idol, which was very valuable information for your group, which was Soka, you told Tika about it. Y'all could have survived this round without Danny using his idol. Had Heidi not given that information away, I think Tika could have just chose to not let Franny go and vote out Brandon. It was 4 Ratu. So Brandon probably would have got all the votes from Tika anyways. So you just helped Danny waste an idol. And for what? Yeah. And I don't think that's good gameplay. I'm not confident in her ability to be strategic enough in a way where she can pull some Ratu members and she can get this group of people to vote out one of the Tika. I don't think she could do that the way I think Franny could. And I feel like that's going to be very valuable right now. So I'm going to give her the 4. And hope for the best. What you think?
I think I feel comfortable giving her the 5, only because I think socially she'll be able to stay over potentially Franny and Danny, which is good for her. I do think that Heidi's in a position where maybe she does have a few buffers. Her connection with Yam Yam may actually help her if she's able to really, really forge that moving forward, because I don't think that, Tika may end up wanting to go to the final three together, but I can see how Yam Yam may be like, do I want to go to the end with Carson? Maybe that's not going to be his ideal situation. So I think there's avenues for Heidi to still make it pretty deep, but I don't really know, the respect level, and I'm not confident in her knowledge of the game, because I like that she does have her, I feel her game in her own hands. I really enjoyed that, but the gameplay this episode, like you mentioned, like it was not good. It was not good. Like very unnecessary. She, like you said, she just helped him lose an idol. All of that. So yeah, it's a 5. I don't think that she's an immediate target.
Yeah. How you feel about Jamie Lynn?
We didn't get shit from Jamie Lynn this episode. I don't have anything thoughts. It's gonna have to be a 5. She's gonna fake idol. Lord help her.
I agree.
And then she's basically in the same spot as most of everyone here now, because they're at the beck and call of Tika. I mean, until they recognize that they got to low-key get one of them 3 players out, because they go past next round and it's a Ratu or a Soka, then if Tika can really do it well, they can really go back and forth to the final 3.
Yeah.
So they need to figure it out next round. I ain't seen none of that in the preview.
Period. Kane is next. Now, Kane did get a little bit something, but he kind of just gets like storyline things. He gets random diary rooms, random storylines, but it's never. And that's the thing, they set him up this episode. His only diary room was that Ratu's finna stay, and we're gonna be the it girls. So it's like they're setting him up. Edit wise, he's losing. And I feel like gameplay wise, he's not giving. What they did say, there was someone explaining the strengths of everyone on Ratu, and they were like, Kane's really smart. They did say that. But smart to who? Because he ain't ran a vote. He hasn't gathered the things. So we haven't seen anything. I'm going to give him a 5. And I want to give him lower than 5. I don't even know why. I think it's the bad edit. I feel like he doesn't have a good edit, that good of one. But he keeps getting mentioned, so I'll give him that.
The thing is, too, the only other thing I can remember is that his name had come up before. It hasn't happened again yet. I do think that someone like Lauren may go before him if they're looking at Ratu again, but I don't think that he has many paths in this game at all, which is an issue. So I'll say it's a 4.5.
Period. How you feel about Lauren? She won an immunity.
Love Lauren. Honestly,
and she got an extra vote.
And she got an extra vote. The issue with Lauren is just that every time that we have seen social connections with her, it's people not liking her or bringing up her name to get out. So I don't really trust, especially with Brandon being out, I don't really trust that she's going to be able to have a group that's going to have her back. I think the type of player that Lauren is, she needs to have a crew to be with. That's really any Survivor player. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But Jamie Lynn, Kane, and her isn't a cohesive 3, is my point. Yeah. Like, they're not going to be able to work like Tika 3 is working. And she would need a more coherent group of people, and I think that's just not possible. I personally, I hate to say it, I don't necessarily see her being able to use that twist to her advantage, but that's the extra votes are rarely used to their advantage. Marianne was the only other person really ever able to use their advantage to her best ability. So I don't really know where her path goes after this. Like, you can really make the argument they only said Brandon because she had immunity. Because they had been saying her name, Yeah. So I don't really know about my sister Lauren, but she did get immunity this episode, so I'm going to give it a 5.
Oh, period. I do feel lowest about her. I will give her a 4. I think she's finna go the fuck home. And honestly, I'm finna give Heidi a 4.5 just because I gave Lauren a 4. Lauren is going home. I don't have much hope at all. She was dead in the edit. Three episodes.
She's never in the edit.
And when she comes back, it's people saying her name. And then we don't even get her perspective of people saying her name. People say Lauren's name, and then we see somebody else talking about something. And we see Brandon. Brandon like, well, Lauren not going home. So why was not Brandon saying that? Lauren is right here.
That wasn't even like an edit around her really winning the immunity. It was like she won, and that was it.
Nope. It was random. It didn't even feel real. Because it's like, who is this? Playing in her face. Next is Yam Yam. Yam Yam is eating. He's so strategically sound. Like, he's the one who's getting a lot of the information. And when they were talking, when Soka, and this is a good thing and a bad thing, when Soka and Tika talked, they said, well, we got to convince Yam Yam. And then we got the other 2. Duh. So it's like, they know he's running it, but they know he's running it. So it's a double-edged sword. As soon as they wake up and have to vote Tika, it's going to be Yam Yam. If they wake up, though. And will they have the numbers when they do? Will everybody be able to execute it? I think the issue is, even if Yam Yam gets to the end with, let's say it's Tika at top 4. It's Tika and Heidi. I think Carolyn and Carson are going to be like, he can go. You're getting 4th. They're not going to the end with him. Carolyn and Carson are both smart as hell. And I think they're both going to know this nigga Yam Yam's going to win. His social game is out the water. Everyone keeps saying it in the tribal. He survived 3 close votes. So I think it's going to be hard for him to get to the end. But I think he's really good at as a player, and he's in a good position. So I'm going to still give him the 7 and then bring him down accordingly, if ever needed. But I'm scared for his end game. Yeah. What do you think, though?
I agree. I really am scared about the end game. Like, I think he's in this good position now, but he was just out of that position. And I do think that if Tika does get out of this middle position, that he will be one of the first few attacked. But I think what we do consistently see from Yam Yam is that he's able to double back and I think reassure himself, and also reassure himself with people around him. I think that he's the type of player where, like, even if his name does come up, he can go talk, and then they'll be like, well, we're not considering Yam Yam anymore, you know? Yeah. And that's really good for him. I think that another issue with his in-game could be going to the end with Carson, because I do think Carson potentially could beat him. You never really know. It's earlier in the game, and, you know, the Survivor edit, you can't read through it, so you don't know whose perception is really better at this point. But I'm going to say it's a 7.5. I think every time, you know, Yam Yam gets information, he does the correct things with them. And he, like I said, it's just so impressive how he's able to get himself back into the power position, I feel like, every single time. Like, so that's really good.
Girl, not this back and forth. We have
the big 3.
The colors are cute because we have all of Tika first, the big 3. And then it goes back and forth between Ratu and Soka, literally. So that's cute as fuck, period. So Soka and Ratu about what flops, and then Tika's running it. That's all y'all need to know.
That's basically it. That's the structure.
Boom. These motherfucking trash, y'all. It's better for me. It's better for me. Mind you, 2 of my people wasn't even voted out.
Oh, and then there's more women in the game than men.
For the first time since 42. Since Survivor 42. Did it even happen? Yep, because Marianne won. Since Survivor 42. So
we're here.
But we're here now. I feel good about everybody on my tribe. No, I don't. I feel good about Carolyn and Franny. Jamie Lynn and Danny are going home.
Carson and Yam Yam.
Period. I think I got this one, y'all. I think I got it in the bag. I think Carolyn's going to win. I think I got Big Brother in the bag. Kuzi's gonna win, hopefully. But I think I'm finally gonna get one with this one at least. With this one at least.
Hey, you gotta get one.
Do I? Because I haven't gotten one.
I mean,
like, damn.
You got to at some point.
What's it called? Math.
Math
says so. Period. Bitch, we're out. Next week we're doing this again. Come back. Tomorrow we're doing the challenge. Fridays and Tuesdays we do Big Brother. Check us out. Period. Subscribe at T Reality Kingdom.
Oh. Bye. Bye.